Good morning to you folks live who fought the West Loop, and those of you who are chickens and stayed home. Thank you. I just want a shout out to y'all that this thing you're doing today is like, what was it in high school when you could find a copy of the master test somewhere? That's what this is. All right, not quite that illicit, but the awards event. This is our 30th one. This is also our centennial year, our 100th year. And so you're going to see this event this year. It's going to be way bigger. It will sell out. It's going to be packed. And we find, I'm on stage having to hand out crystal things to people. So just to be clear, nobody from the BBB staff, do I know if you've entered, if you're winning, how you're doing? I haven't got a clue. So don't ask me. All right. These guys that are standing behind me know. Okay. So today you're going to hear from the judges themselves, what they're looking for, how people win, how they enter. So you've done a good thing by coming to this, learning how it works. There is one more thing I want to throw out if you got a pencil or a pen. In about two weeks, week and a half, on the 23rd of this month, the Silver Foxes have it's really their monthly chapter meeting, I believe. And we're co-hosting that meeting with 3 of the Pinnacle winners from the last year. So this is good today, and that thing on the 23rd is also good because it's people who won who are going to get up and say, here's how we did it. So anyway, that's going to be the Houston Racket Club at the noon hour. We can get you more information, but they said there are seats available. So you probably got to think highly about that. Okay. Ask questions, learn. This will be recorded as
of now. Yes.
Okay. And I hope to see you on stage in a couple of months. I'm still looking at them and not the people on TV, so I apologize for that.
Thank you,
Dan. You all have a good weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you all so much for attending today. For those of you that have not met me yet, my name is Jennifer Salazar. I'm the Executive Director of the Better Business Bureau Education Foundation. I'm sure you all remember Candy Twyman. She wanted to make sure I said hello to everyone. She is enjoying retirement. Instead of being on a beach, she's probably deep cleaning still. So it's so nice to meet you all. We are really looking forward to this training today. It is in a different format because we wanted to make sure that if you couldn't attend, or while you are applying for the awards, you could go back and watch this video at any time. So to make it easier on all of you. Lily Chu and myself, now Lily's in our office actually recording this because we're going to edit this today. So everything we say will be edited. We want to protect the identity of our members that are applying for the awards because some of us might not want our questions to be like so-and-so from this company. That's why we're doing it in this format. We want to protect your identity. But Lily Chu and I will be your BBB contacts during the awards process. So when you do apply for the awards, it goes to our email. We send it off to the judges. With that being said, when you apply for the awards, if you do not hear from Lily Chu or myself, Jennifer Salazar, in 3 business days, please reach out to us immediately. Our contact information is in this form. Also, I've given you my business cards. Please do not wait until August because we want to ensure that your applications make it to our judges at the proper time. We partner with the Silver Fox Advisors, which we are glad that they could join us today. Some are in person, some are virtual. We want you to know that no one from the BBB staff, none of our executive committee, none of our board members, none of our standing committees, none of any of us, we have nothing to do with this process when it comes to the judging. It's strictly the Silver Fox judges. Also, this Awards for Excellence is a fundraiser, and it's the only fundraiser for the BBB Education Foundation, which we are actually a separate nonprofit 501c3. And the proceeds on November 2nd, which is our luncheon, goes to what we do. It helps us reach out to the community. Just this year, we have already done almost 700 speeches. And the speeches that we do to the community is for 4 of our programs. It's to help youth that's at risk to older adults, and that's through Young Consumer Protection 101, Silver Sluice, and the Senior Medicare Patrol. Now, again, this will be recorded, so please, if you do ask a question, don't say, hi, I'm Jennifer with the BBB. Just ask your question. If you are in the chat, Please type out your question. It will be edited where we cannot see who's asking the question. Miss Lily Chu will be able to ask those questions. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to the Silver Foxes. I'd like to introduce Joseph, and he'll be taking it from here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Tong. I don't know if you can see me. It's okay if you can't. I'm going to be driving the slides. There are, right here. Thanks. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Silver Fox advisors here in the room with us. You see the top of my head. And there are, I believe, at least a handful of Silver Fox advisors on the Zoom call as well. We are an organization of current and former executives and other business leaders in Houston. We've been here for about 35 years, and we've been partners with the BBB for not that long, but at least several decades. And so we are very proud to once again support the Pinnacle and Awards of Excellence process by grading and judging the applications this year. This training session is just to help guide you and provide you some insight into the process. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to most likely defer to most of my judges. I do grade a few of them, but my role is primarily to shepherd the process. The process is primarily electronic. So this is the agenda for today. Most of it we covered the welcome and the introductions. We're going to cover contact information, which Jennifer's covered a little bit, key dates. We're going to meet some of the judges. I'm going to have each one of them come in front of the camera, introduce themselves briefly. We'll also cover how the applications are reviewed, some of the categories. We won't discuss the specific questions in the application since they haven't been released yet, but they will be released shortly. And then suggestions, recommendations, and then of course a short Q&A. Sure, you want to handle that. So Jennifer mentioned, Jennifer and Lily will be the primary contacts for the BBB. I will be the contact for the Silver Fox advisors, and that is the link for the application. This link will be available through email and through other processes as well. All right. Key dates today is the Zoom applicant training on June 15th, which is next Wednesday. The application period will begin. The applications are due on August 19th at 5 p.m. There will be no extensions. That is a hard deadline. Jennifer is shaking her head. Absolutely no extensions. The awards banquet, as Dan was saying, is on November 2nd. It's the Centennial Awards Banquet. It will be held at the Bayou City Center. We hope all of you will come. Oh, before we do the applications, I'm going to do introductions. First to my left is Rich Hall, and to his left is Gary Henderson. To his left is Herb Pullman, sorry, and then Dr. Ken Wells over there. I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves briefly.
Hey, good morning, Rich Hall. I'm the chairman of the membership committee with Silver Fox. I'm also a board member and have worked quite extensively with the judging process last year. So we're glad that you're here and looking forward to seeing some fantastic applications.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Gary Henderson. I'm a Silver Fox advisor for the last 2 years. I was the judge on the committee last year and enjoyed the process and the applications, going through those. During the day, I work for Allegiance Bank. I manage the SBA program.
I'm Herb Kalman. I've been a Silver Fox for 3 years. I've been on this program for 2 of the years. I guess I think you had it 2 years ago. Actually, my first contact with the Silver Foxes, I came to a luncheon and it was the awards program. And so when the opportunity to judge the companies came up, I just jumped on it because it sounded interesting. And I look forward to reading y'all's applications this year.
Morning, I'm Ken Wells. I'm a physician here in town, new to the Silver Foxes. Joined the organization about a year ago and very excited to participate here with the BBB in this process.
I guess I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Tung. I'm an attorney here in town with Grable Martin Fulton. I'm the vice president of the Silver Fox Advisors. I've been with the Foxes for about 3 years. And it's my pride and joy to be the champion for the BBB on behalf of the Better Business Bureau, on behalf of the Silver Fox Advisors. So this is the process of how the applications are reviewed. We are 2 years ago, when the pandemic hit, we realized that our physical process was no longer effective. So what we do now is that we have a purely electronic process. So when you complete your applications, please understand that everything that you submit to us will be submitted to us electronically. So whether it's it will be by email, and we will receive them by email, and then we will put it into a large spreadsheet in a database. We will have approximately 6 weeks, and each application will be judged at least twice by 2 different judges. There will be 10 standard questions, and there will be 1 bonus question for each application. The categories, and they'll be released on June 15th, next Wednesday. We won't discuss the specific categories and questions today, but we can discuss the general categories. For the for-profit applicants, we're going to ask about your business, the culture of your business, how unique it is, any challenges and opportunities that you've had, and the relevance and meaning of the BBB and your community. Nonprofit applicants, you'll have also those similar questions, but you also have an emphasis on your charity or philanthropic focus, as well as the role of your board of directors, if you have it. Our general suggestions and recommendations are that you give clear and concise answers and speak to your experience, either as an owner or nonprofit operator. Obviously, we recommend that you read and follow the instructions carefully. We also recommend you have at least 1 person proofread your work before submitting it. Please do not provide a bunch of links, and we also suggest that quality wins over quantity. I know that was really, really fast. I wanted to keep my portion very, very short and leave the bigger portion of the lion's share of the time to my fellow judges who are here in person as well as online. I took a quick look online. There are about 2 or 3 at least Silver Foxes online, and there's 4 other Silver Foxes in person here. So if anybody has any questions, either in the room or online, feel free to ask them now. Okay, good luck, everybody.
If you do ask questions, please do not give your name or company, because again, folks that are watching the video, we're trying to protect your identity because not all of us wants our information out there. This is your time to ask from the judges. So any question, no question is silly. So please feel free to ask questions. If you'd like to ask questions via Zoom, you can do so in the chat, or you may unmute yourself. Again, please do not list the name of your company or give your name.
Hey, Jennifer, one thing I'll leave it off is, and the biggest piece of advice I could give for all of the applicants, okay? And this sounds simple, but it's actually, please follow this. Answer the question as it's asked, okay? The reason being is we get a lot of great applications, but what happens is we don't know the companies, we don't know the detail. And then we look at the questions and the corresponding responses to give it a grade. How did the applicant respond to that question? What happens most often where there's a mistake is that the applicant has a lot of great information about their company that they want to share with us. But if they don't answer the question, they get dinged on the judging. Okay, so plan out what you're going to say. Again, quality is better than quantity, but at the end of the day, make sure that you've adequately answered the question that was asked. And that's what you'll be judged on, and that's what will give a leg ahead. And we've seen fantastic companies, applications that shared tremendous information that just didn't score as high as they could have because the specific questions that were asked weren't answered properly. So biggest piece of advice. Questions in the room? Yes, sir.
I've got a question, Rich, with respect to once you submit an application, how many judges typically review that single application?
Minimum of 2.
Minimum of two.
Okay, so and then what'll happen is, no one knows other than Joseph. Joseph keeps track of all of the applications and what Silver Fox advisors have been asked to judge which applications. Okay. Silver Foxes among themselves don't know which other Silver Foxes may have been asked to review an application. So there's no way that we can coordinate and say, hey, that's a great application, we ought to score them higher. No, it's all individual. So Joseph would distribute the applications in electronic form, along with the judging sheet, to each one of the Silver Fox advisors. And then we'll review them. We will judge, make comments, submit it back to Joseph. And then Joseph will turn back around and say, these have been judged at least once. Now send them to another Fox to do another round of judging. But again, there's no comments, no notes, anything. It's all individually judged. We don't even know amongst our team who's seen which applications other than Joseph.
And are they assigned a numerical value on the total application?
Usually the judging process will say, for each question, how well did they answer the question? Say 1 through 5 or something to that effect. So again, that's where the key comes in, because if the question says totally hypothetical, because these are not the questions, right? But if it says something to the effect of, during the most recent year, how did you give back to the community and in what ways? Okay. You may have a applicant that says, well, we donate at our church, or our sons, play baseball and we coach at baseball. Okay. That may not answer the question because it's on behalf of the company, not necessarily the individual, right? So if it's, hey, we sponsor a little league team, or we take 10% or 5% of our profits and donate it to these causes, that's how you answer the question. Okay. And again, you don't have to be, you don't have to, in that scenario, contribute the most, donate the most. We're looking for intent and did you answer the question? So it doesn't have to be just, oh, we've got to give every kind of piece of information of everything we've ever done. It's just answer it effectively, and that's where we get a higher score. Is that good?
Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so there is a numerical value assigned to each question. There's a total score for each ballot. It's also my job to make sure there are no conflicts when I assign them to judges. So we usually have about 20 judges that we will use. If there's a tie score, or if there is a score that's what we consider too low, then we'll have rejudged, or if there's a problem with the ballot, we'll have it rejudged. If there's a tie score, we'll have it rejudged. When we have certain types of awards that we're giving out, we're looking for a bonus or a tiebreaker or anything like that, we'll have certain ballots rejudged. But at least every single company gets judged at least twice.
Hey, Joseph, I got a couple of comments.
So we have a question from the chat, which again, I'm assuming everyone can see because it's up on the screen. But the question is, if there's two different companies, but under the same ownership, and we submit two separate applications, will it be counted off as the applications are similar? And should they be seen, in essence, judged together or judged separately? Here,
Okay.
yeah, go.
So we had this happen last year, so multiple times. The answer is they're judged separately.
Yeah.
And so the two judges the two separate judges groups don't even see each other, don't even realize that there are multiple applications from the same owners, but with different companies.
And we had one of our Foxes online that had a comment. Dick?
I think you put it in the
Yeah,
chat box.
one of the things that I've been reading these applications for about 15 years now. And one of the things or a couple of things I'd like to point out to the group, I would encourage everybody to get your employees involved with writing the responses to the various questions, because sometimes your employees are doing something that is very meaningful, but you may not know all the details. And also it kind of is an opportunity for you to gather all of your employees around and kind of work for a common interest, and that is to get the Pinnacle Award. So it can serve as a big motivator too for your company and your employees. You've got, a project that everybody's participating in and everybody's doing. The other, another comment I'd like to make is that before you, and Rich kind of alluded to it, make sure you answer the question properly. But before you hit the send button to send your application into Jennifer, reread what you wrote. Because sometimes in the heat of writing, you maybe type the wrong word in, or your word check will put a word in that could change the entire meaning of what you're trying to say. So, and I would recommend too that you maybe even have somebody else that didn't write all of the application read it through before you send it in, because sometimes, again, they can pick up some small things that you do or did that should have done differently. And then the final thing I'd recommend is to make sure that you try to get as many comments in as you can about good things that your customers have said about your service, your pricing, or whatever is related to that particular question, because the third-party testimonials, if you will, from your customers go a long way in how we grade and judge those questions. So those are my comments. Good luck to everybody, and look forward to, I always learn something about a company or a service that I did not know before every year when I read through these things. So I really enjoy it, and I really look forward to doing this every year. So good luck to you all.
Thank you, Dick.
Question in the chat.
Are you looking for any visuals to support your answer?
That's a good question. I would say we didn't really have visuals last year.
Yes.
Do we have?
Yeah.
We had a few. Okay, well, that just shows you, because the ones that I judged, I didn't see the visuals. So, yeah. Me personally, I would say that if it succinctly supports the point that you're trying to make, then absolutely it's a value. But don't put it in if it doesn't, because if it just adds additional information to review, charts and things like that visuals can be misinterpreted. Now, if a question tied to something like volunteer events, and then you did have pictures submitted of your team, maybe that identifies, then yeah, absolutely, something like that's a value. Any other comments?
Yeah, I was wanting to know about the third-party testimonials. Y'all are just going to trust whatever we say, or do we need to include like a screenshot of a Google review, or what's the best way to communicate a testimonial?
So we generally don't ask for or require testimonials, because we take the BBB as kind of that process. We're not trying to do the job of the BBB. So we're not doing a second screening process for testimonials. What we meant by testimonials is we're looking for more of answering the question. So the question doesn't ask for testimonials, and I don't think any of the questions do. We're not asking for you to quote anybody or to say you guys do a great job, right? Because that's what the BBB's primary job is, to screen a lot of those things, right? Same with the pictures, right? So if you're looking to submit a bunch of website links to answer a question, that's probably not going to answer the question, because we're looking for a written explanation, a storytelling, if you will, through words, rather than just here, look at this link that we have to figure out, right? So if there's a picture that says, here's a story, this is what we did, this is our volunteer work, here's a picture that supports that written explanation, we like those. But if it's just a bunch of pictures with no explanation, we don't know what to do with that. So generally speaking, like I've seen applications that are done very well where there's a lot of well-explained answers and then one or two supporting pictures. That's generally what I would say is a good way to approach it.
And I think from like testimonials, I know with me personally, if I'm judging them, I don't really read that much on the testimonials for the things like we would say. I mean, you can go to Google, you can go to Yelp, you can go to all the Facebook, you can go to all the different platforms. And, you know, a lot of times it's valid, a lot of times it's not. So for me personally, I'm just honing in again to the specifics. Did you answer the question properly and how did you answer it? And if it's, you know, strong enough in that response, you don't need the reviews. That's just me. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, and that is, you already have some advertising done on your website. And you ought to make sure that when your answers are consistent with what you say, when you explain the business, it's consistent with what you say on your website, which is, you know, it needs to be updated all the time. And there's nothing on the website that contradicts what you're saying.
And then the questions, when are the questions coming out?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, that's right.
Yes, Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yes.
Correct.
So yeah, what I would do is when the questions come out, yeah, obviously the sooner that the application comes in, the sooner that, you know, we've got it all organized and we go into a judging process. But take your time on it, you know, and don't hurry through it. Don't rush through it. Don't cut and paste off the website because that becomes obvious and we can see that, you know, it's sort of can be genuine. And, you know, we read that. Most of the Silver Fox advisors, you know, what we do today is we advise small businesses. And so we know some of the challenges, we know some things that they've done and challenges overcome. If you have what I would say stories to tell within a question that supports how you've responded. Charitable events is an example. Maybe if it's financials, how you had a struggle and then maybe early on, here's some things that you did. And then at the end of the year, you turned it around and was more successful with the company. As long as you answer the question that was asked, then that's valid. That gives some context around it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Do the Silver Foxes actually go to your website to do extra research?
No.
So I never heard that.
No, I mean, I've done enough of this type of stuff. I can tell what things may be cut and paste off of marketing. That's sort of where I was going. If it's a marketing type of a response, but it's not specific to the question, that's another example of providing too much information that really doesn't help. As a matter of fact, it can distract it. Now, the thing keep in mind from the Fox's perspective. So last year, Joseph, how many of the applications did we judge?
100 and was it 180 or 200? I can't remember.
I want to say it was 184.
I want to say it was 184 too, but
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say a couple of hundred, give or take, applications. All right, if every judge has got to do minimum of 2, now you're looking at 400 that have to be reviewed in some fashion and kept track of. Okay, so that's the thing. Don't wait till the last minute, because what we don't want to do is ask judges to, you know, okay, guess what? These last 50 just came in.
you can wait till the last minute, right? So you can turn them over all on August 19th because we can't start till August 19th. So we have 6 weeks to do it. The thing is, you're right. We don't have to look at the websites. We're not actually, it's not part of our judging process. We can look at the websites if we want to, but our judging process is we have 6 weeks to cover about 400 applications, right? 200 or so, but we judge them all twice. And so that process is very rigorous. Each one of us does a minimum of 20. Most of us here at the table, I can tell, I don't remember where Dr. Wells, were you part? You weren't part of it last year. The 4 of us each judge at least 30 or 40, maybe more.
Yeah.
I did 31 of the 20 committee that I committed to. So.
And so if you're asking, do we all look up everybody's website? Answer is probably no. If I see something suspicious, am I gonna look up the website? The answer is yes, I'm gonna look up the website, right? But I'm not gonna check your website for every single application.
Yeah.
But the point that Rich is trying to make is, if we see something that doesn't look right, doesn't sound right, we can look it up, right? And so the goal is to try to answer the question to your best of your ability, and to make it as persuasive as possible. At the end of the day, these applications are a written attempt to tell your story about your business and why you think you're deserving of a better work.
That's a good point.
Yeah, just a comment I would make, kind of off what Joseph just said. It's okay to be proud of your business, you know.
Very okay.
It's okay.
And a lot of people hate talking about it,
Yeah,
so.
We know it's hard to do, but that's what we're asking you to do.
So if each of the applicants would look at the questions as maybe as if your parents were asking the question, you know, maybe that would kind of bring the angst down a little bit. But I think the thing for me is when I'm reading the answers is, what is the answer in layman's terms? You know, that the general population could read that same question and understand, you know, exactly what the answer is. Yeah, and something else, the number of applications that we're looking at, if there's 10 questions in there, it's a lot of reading. We don't mind doing it, but you know, if it's concise in a way, if the storytelling is good, that's why I mentioned about the parents. If you're talking to your mom and your dad, you know, you're going to say it in a way that's very easy for them to understand. Then if you could do the same for us, it's very beneficial.
Yeah. Couple of questions on the chat. You know, last year.
Name of the company when you're judging the company. Yes, we do. We have to do that to run conflicts, to make sure that either none of us works for or knows anybody with that company. So yes, we do know the name of the company. We do know your name when we judge.
Yes.
And so, for example, if any of us have clients, or we don't judge our own clients, and we don't judge anybody that we know.
Yeah, well, and I think what's, you may mention about how Silver Fox runs the roundtables.
Correct. So any of our roundtable members apply, we also don't judge them as well.
Yeah.
For the individual foxes. So it's my job to shuffle that around and make sure that each judge is clean and non-conflicted out.
Of the 184, do you know how many were accepted? How many
Well,
awards?
that's you. I don't know.
About 170. So not everyone will win an award, so do your very best.
Excellent. Okay.
And then Pinnacle's last.
Pinnacles were 28 last year, 28 categories. And the Silver Foxes also determine the categories and how many we have. And in fact, I want to let you all know that we already, because of supply chain and everything, we've already ordered the trophies, but they don't know how many we've ordered. And we probably ordered way too many because we're hoping it's going to be a great year. And just to be on the safe side, we made sure that there's even more trophies, just in case, you know, because we can always use the same design next year. But with supply chain and with everything going on, we wanted to get that taken care of. So when Joseph and I started this process, he's like, trophies. I'm like, we have them. You don't need to know about them because we don't want to do anything. We want this to be as clean as possible. In fact, they even do all the scoring. They add up the scores, they turn over the list, and that's all we do.
Good. Right.
So no, we do not consider your reviews on BBB when judging the application. The application is available on the link on the bottom of the screen. And is there one pinnacle per category? What determines the category we are entering? The answer is yes, there's one pinnacle per category. The category is determined by us. Center points to us. So we determine different. I don't know the exact process because I'm not the one that determines that. The foxes will get together. We will determine the different types of business categories. It's my understanding of it is that we have different business categories for the different types of business types that are in the BBB. I don't have them handy, but there's a 28 of them currently. So it depends also how many apply within each category. Can we purchase an additional trophy for a second location of our business?
Yes, they may. If you were to, win and you want, if you have multiple businesses like a franchise or something, and you want more than one trophy, you can pay for another trophy. We give you the contact information of our trophy shop that we use. It's also an accredited business. And again, we ordered probably way too many trophies because again, supply chain.
These are great questions.
Yeah.
Better than last year's. Can we?
Oh, when the application becomes available, everything will be on this website. Information about the awards will be on this website. Application will be available on this website. When it comes time to purchase your tickets, it will be on this website. We even have, if you want to sponsor, QR codes that we'll be sending everyone. Everyone will be notified October 3rd in an email, October 3rd, from an email from Jennifer Salazar or Lily Chu if you are a winner. This year, we are going to be a little different. We'll also get a card in the mail letting you know if you are a winner. The one thing that you will not know is if you're a winner of distinction or a pinnacle winner. That's the one thing you will not know. And I think right now that's a good time for me to bring up something that we are doing a little differently this year. This year, we are requesting that when you do apply for the awards on the application, which is all online this year, that you put on the application exactly how your business is listed with the Better Business Bureau or your charity. We need to know exactly how it's listed. You cannot put one name on the application and advertise your award under another name. For example, if you're Bolt Electronic, you can't go saying Lightning Electronic or something like that. You have to use what's with the Better Business Bureau. Also, what you put on your application, the name, will be the name that appears on the trophy if you win. We are not going to call every single person like we've done in years past, because last year we only had 94 tables, which is wonderful. This year we're going for about 114 tables because it's going to be the 100th year anniversary. We're very excited. Bring your friends, family, relatives. We're hoping to sell it out. So again, please put your business the way it's listed with the Bureau and the way it is on the trophy.
They want to know if you can have a second trophy order to pick up at the awards if we are in another county.
So you get one trophy at the awards. If you want to order a second trophy, please let us know after the awards, because you got to realize we're dealing with maybe 200-300 trophies. So it's going to have to be after the fact. We do the orders of second trophies after the fact.
We'll discuss that.
And
Yeah.
anything we discuss, sorry, Joseph, we will always put on the website. So
Right.
any news, we actually will have a blog with any news and updates on the awards. Sorry. Is online, unless you want to do, traditional and come up here with your application. We'll take it any way we can get it, but it is online. So you can apply online, you can save and come back later, because you might think, oh, I want to come back and do this later. And here's a tip: put it in Microsoft Word, copy and paste it. Make sure everything's correct, grammar check, spelling check. But not only that, take your time. We've given you 2 extra weeks this year. You have until June 15th to August 19th. Take your time. Have your employees read it. Have somebody that knows nothing about your business read it. And something that, if I may give a tip, so I deal with a lot of senior services in my job, and we use a lot of acronyms like SMP, that's Senior Medicare Patrol, or CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Some of us might know what that is, but a lot of us don't. So if you're putting in acronyms, remember, the judges might not know what that is. So make sure you spell it out the first time and then do the acronym afterwards.
That's all we have left in the chat.
I just have a silly question.
Sure.
What disqualifies the winning? I'm thinking, if these businesses are members of the Better Business Bureau, I suspect they're pretty good. But what on earth would absolutely have somebody say, you know what, the application, oh my gosh. I mean, any ideas, any experience or anything, just so that I don't turn one in like that.
Yes. You want to take that? I've seen.
I could talk all day on that one, but
So-
if you want to start out,
I'm probably the one guy that's seen all the ballots, right? So last year I
some
saw,
couldn't hear the question.
oh, the question is, what would disqualify you from getting, from winning? What would get you a 0 on a ballot?
Yeah.
What is so bad so that I won't do, I'm rephrasing you correctly. Tell us something that's so bad so I don't do it on my application. And the answer is,
I'd say first, again, what we reiterated. Number one, answer the question. Because if you don't answer the question, you'll get rated a 0. The other is, I mean, it's obvious, but if you leave it blank, you know, and we've seen a lot that just got hurried through, or maybe they didn't have a lot of feedback on a particular category. Like, for example, if one of the questions did tie to how do you give back to your community? Well, let's say that you don't really have a program in place today. That's okay. That doesn't mean you get disqualified. Go ahead and answer the question. You know, we've had a tough year. This is what we do. This is our intent, etc. Because that still keeps you in the game. And that wouldn't necessarily, just because you're maybe not able to do the seven-step program throughout our company of how we take care of all the members in our community. It's still, again, answer the question truthfully, factually, and then you'll be fine. We don't know the companies. So all we know is based on what's on the application. And as we read it, if you properly answered the question accurately, then it's fine. We don't look at it and say, well, hey, you know what, this is absolutely nuts. So we're going to disqualify.
You don't want NA not applicable or something. Like you want an answer even.
Correct.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
so NA, leaving it blank, copying and pasting the answers incorrectly from one question to the other. So you answered the wrong question, right? So you took the answer from question 1 and copied and pasted it on to question 5. That'll get you a 0, right? Bad mouthing other companies, that's also a big no.
And the questions to be answered.
Yes, the application will specifically say that all the questions are to apply to the year 2021.
Yes, I've done this questionnaire several times. And the thing that I struggle with the most is how to answer the same question differently each year. Because that was a big thing, because if you have a motto or like a little blurb in place that you say to describe your business, you don't want to say that same thing every single year. Like they say, but it's hard because it's your business and it's your motto. So how do you rework that? Or do you have different questions this year?
No,
Because
well,
a lot of years it was the same question over and over and over. And it's like, how do you answer that differently than going back to your last year's essay, copy and pasting the same answer?
So 2 things. One, the questions are a little bit different this year. They were different last year as well because of the pandemic. They're different this year again because we're coming out of the pandemic. 2, I do think good mottos for good organizations and companies should stay the same. Ours is wisdom-driven results, right? So we're not asking you to change your motto, but we do think that there is ways to incorporate what happened last year, 2021, with your motto to give it a different, fresher approach based on what happened, right? So telling us about your company culture, yes, there's a part of that answer that's going to be the same or similar, but why it is your company culture based on what happened in 2021, that's what we want to know. And that should be different.
If I may add to that, because legitimate question, right? But the fact of the matter is, not everyone reads your application. In other words, I might read it this year. She read it last year, right?
Right.
So even though the answer, it's like I said, you do certain things to develop business, right? That's what you do. It's hard to change that. So, well, gee, I'm going to do something different that I'm not really doing. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not reading that application, and if there's 5 or 10 judges, chances are, I can barely remember what I did yesterday. So I would think that someone reading an application a year later would probably not have
Right.
Any idea, oh my gosh, I remember this right from the answer.
Yes. For the-
Unless you copy and pasted the answer incorrectly to the wrong question,
Yeah.
And
then we'll
we-
realize that
yeah,
you're just
yeah.
copy and pasting from a previous application.
I think for the people online, the question came up is if you've applied in multiple years in the past, do you need to, if there are certain questions about your business, do you need to change it up to make it more fresh? Or if it's sort of standard, this is sort of what we do and this is our business. We don't go back and look at prior years' applications. So we use the current year, as that application stands on its own. And if you think there's an enhancement or something that how you would respond, by all means, but in no way would we go back and say, well, you answered it poorly last year, so we're going to deem you for this year.
And the questions have changed.
Yeah.
And the bonus question is very different.
I have a question for the Foxes. So what, I don't want to know the company's name, but I'm sure you all have judged multiple through the years. You know a pinnacle when you read it. Could you give anyone advice on what makes the application, not to put you on the spot, a pinnacle application? Is there anything that stands out that you can say to the group that makes it a pinnacle?
Everybody's looking at me for some reason.
I don't know, 'cause you're looking at me.
No, I would say, I believe Pinnacle is based on the scoring, if I'm not correct. So I think it's just based on the scoring, which goes back to the application and how you answer the question. Rich has covered this well, answered the question that was asked. And I think the instructions we gave today were pretty clear. Just tell a good story, and tell it from the heart. I think that's always helpful, and be concise. Yeah, and not get too wordy or be too technical. Like you don't need to use big words, to impress us. Actually, it's helpful if it's kind of dumbed down a little bit. So I think that's probably what I would say to it.
Yeah, I think I would add, we try to ask questions to get a full picture of the entire company and what you do, how you give back, how you treat employees, the full picture. And then we grade each of the responses accordingly that then come up with a total score, then along with the bonus question. And, what I would look at is with the application and the type questions that you have, number one, answer them to the best of your ability, but then look at it holistically and say, these are the type things that judges and Silver Foxes look at for Pinnacle Award winners. And if you're consistently able to receive high scoring in each one of the questions, then the odds are pretty good you'll be an award winner. Okay. If not, and say there's 10 questions and you got 6 out of the 10 look pretty good, perhaps take a look at the other 4 and say, is there something there that we should be doing with our business that could help us improve? Because those are the kind of things that if we compare them across all the businesses, odds are pretty good. Those are the kind of things that we look for Pinnacle Award winners. That makes sense.
So this is the time for me to make my sales pitch. I'm in charge of the education committee. On June 23rd, which is not this coming Thursday, but the next Thursday, we have our quarterly lunch and learn, which this quarter we will feature the Better Business Bureau. There will be 3 Pinnacle Award winners presenting. If you want to know, and I think there are multiple Pinnacle Award winners. So if you want to know what a Pinnacle Award winner looks like and what they do to win, because when they win multiple, there's a reason why they're winning multiple times, because it's not just a one-time thing. They're going to be presenting. There'll also be multiple Silver Foxes presenting, and there will also be multiple Silver Fox judges presenting as well, talking about not only the Pinnacle Award winners' business, but also how they won Pinnacle Award. network. So we can go more in detail. This is for last year, so 2021 for the 2020 year.
Yes.
Yeah, so June 23rd, if you want more information, go to our website, silverfox.org. And you can get a seat there. We still have seats available.
It's a wonderful networking because you get to
Yes.
network before, so you can actually talk to the judges. You can actually talk to the pinnacle winners.
So Dan said it starts at the noon hour. If you come at the noon hour, you'll be late. So if you come at 11, you'll hit networking, and we usually start lunch around 11:30. Dan starts talking at noon. So if you just want to hear Dan, show up at noon. But if you want to network, show up at 11.
Any other questions? Now is your time.
You want to plug roundtables? Yeah.
One other thing I would offer is Silver Fox does, in partnership and coordination with the BBB, have a CEO roundtable that you may have seen in some prior newsletters that has actually kicked off and is actually running. And it's for CEOs and owners of small businesses. There's certain criteria on the size of the business, but I would offer, if that's something that you're interested in, Silver Foxes do actually facilitate the roundtable. And the goal is to help the business owners grow their businesses. So it's a great group, and I would highly recommend that if you have an interest, you can go to the silverfox.org website. There's also a link there to have more information about the application process. There is a vetting that takes place, and we will actually meet with the owner of the company and see if it's a good fit, etc. But Silver Fox has been doing these round tables for quite a few years, have a lot of experience, and we have quite a few members that's online here today that's also part of our CEO roundtable. Just another one of the offerings that the Better Business Bureau has put together to try to increase the value of membership. It is this roundtable I'm speaking about is a BBB specific, so it's only offered to the members. Any other questions before we're done?
Okay, just to recap that the applications go live June 15th online. You have all the way up until August 19th. We will not accept any applications after August 19th. You will be notified on October 3rd via email, and you'll get a surprise in the mail. Don't get too excited. It's just a real lovely part. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.